the first president of the United States since World War II who does not believe in the alliances that we have with friendly nations, does not believe in the strength of them, the recognition of the history with them, and the importance that that relationship bears on our standing around the world, our influence around the world, not to mention our national security. This is the first president of the United States post-World War II who has not considered the United States of America to have a responsibility to be a standard bearer around international rules and norms such as sovereignty and territorial integrity. Look what he did as it relates, and what he has been doing as it relates to Ukraine. And why is this important? Because America's strength in the context of the globe and the world relies on a number of things. Yes, it relies on the fact that we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, our military, and it relies on what we call our soft power, which is the importance that we have placed in being a participant with other democracies around holding up international rules and norms such as human rights, such as the importance of respecting relationships. Foreign policy is a lot like your friendships in your personal life. The strength of the friendship is going to be based on some mutual recognition of the history of the friendship, what you've been through together. It's going to rely on trust, which is a reciprocal relationship. You give and you receive trust. It's a back and forth. Friendships rely on consistency. Do I follow through on what I say, what I've said? Well, none of this can be counted on when it comes to Donald Trump. None of it. It is, yes, evidence of his lack of character, but it is harmful to the people of America, not to mention people in allied nations around the world. So he enters into this war, a war of choice. Remember, the man said he got rid of their nuclear arsenal. Obliterated it, he said. You know how he likes to use those kind of words? Obliterated it. Which is not an ambiguous term. That means you took it out. Well, evidently he didn't do that. He is causing U.S. service members, 13 to have lost their lives, hundreds, it is estimated, of others to be injured, some very seriously, putting U.S. service members at risk. Abandoning alliances. He's been pointing fingers at NATO, right? So understand what that is. Those are friends of ours that we have had, and that bond formed mostly out of what happened in the 1930s, again, post-World War II. Under our administration, we expanded NATO. We brought 2 more countries in. He's now pointing fingers at these friends of ours who don't want to go along with his war of choice. And I mention all of this to say 2 things in particular, which keeps me up at night, frankly, as your former Vice President of the United States. And it is this: America has increasingly, under Donald Trump, become more unreliable as a partner to our friends, and America has increasingly, second point, lost influence. So when we otherwise could say, you know, in X country, we're concerned about human rights violations, even if it did not directly affect our national security, we had some level of authority to speak about these things in a way that we had earned the ability of people to listen and pay attention and maybe try to do better. We have become more unreliable under this man, and we are losing influence. And my concern is not only just the fact of it, but it's going to take a while and some serious work, way beyond the end of this man's term, to regain whatever we had. I will tell you, Rev, though, what gives me some sense of optimism includes this. As Vice President of the United States, I met with over 150 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, chancellors, and kings. Many of them multiple times, and formed relationships. I have traveled the globe many times over, and I will share with the friends here, one thing that I realized is that the relationship that we have with allied nations, yes, can be forged and reinforced by the leaders, but I will tell you, the true strength of those relationships is the people of those nations feeling some level of identity and connection with the people of our country. And that includes the people in this room. Because I will tell you, in meeting with so many foreign leaders, the first foreign leader that I invited to my home as vice president was then German Chancellor Angela Merkel. I had her over for breakfast. And we sat down, it was called a bilateral meeting. We sat down and we talked about everything. It was before Russia invaded Ukraine. We talked about Russia and China and a number of things. And then she leaned over to me and she said, "Please tell me what's going on in your country with voting." Because she was very concerned about the erosion that she was reading about and hearing about in the United States around obstruction of voting rights. I bring it back to Nan because here's the point there. She was fully aware of the leaders and the activists and the heroes that we honor who fought for voting rights. She knew of the struggle. She knew of the work it requires, and she knew what was at stake. And I will tell the folks here that, again, part of the relationship that we will ever have with the people of other nations will be because of folks like the folks in this room who are always fighting for the ideals of America, always fighting for what we know to be true commitment to freedom, to justice, to liberty, and to equality. So there we go.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm sure you remember, many out there remember, President Trump said on day one he was going to deal with inflation and make America affordable again, and to bring down the prices of groceries. It's safe to say these things didn't happen. So, I mean, what do you make of this? I know, you know, I'm the preacher, but you practice better than me. I'd be up in the middle of the night saying, "I told you so," but how do you, on a serious side, deal with the fact that we are dealing at a time, this war exacerbates it, what's going on with the Straits of Hormuz all exacerbates it, and we're paying for this. This is not just some foreign affair issue somewhere else.
That's right.
The American citizens, black, white, red, blue, don't matter, are paying for this war.
And the American citizens will always pay for war. So that is true. First of all, just to answer the first question, and I heard friends in the room say, he lied. He lied. He told the American people on day one he was going to bring down prices and costs, and he lied. I will say this, however. You know, when you look at the numbers in terms of that election, 1/3 voted for him, 1/3 voted for us, and 1/3 did not vote. And I do believe there is a healthy number of the folks that voted for him that believed him and voted based on that very important issue, which is, can they afford to get through life with dignity and being able to take care of their family? It's without any question, I would say, the #1 issue for most people in our country. And you look at it, though, what he has done is, instead of taking care of the average everyday folk in America around their need for affordability, he'd been taking care of his rich friends and his own family. You look at what's been happening, the cost of gas, the cost of food, unemployment, inflation have gone up since he has been president. And then now, he has, he says what he's thinking. I mean, here's the thing, we don't have to kind of like, what does he mean when he says that? That's the one problem we don't have. So, he just said the other day, the government shouldn't be responsible for affordable child care.
That's what he said.
This is the same man who pretended that he's a family-first president. They're asking for at least $200 billion. I heard today the number may be as high as $400 billion, $200 to $400 billion for this war. Meanwhile, they've cut Medicaid, premium prices for health care have gone up, SNAP benefits, WIC. Everybody in this room knows what WIC stands for, women, infants, and children. SNAP benefits, which are intended and were created to feed hungry children, hungry seniors, people who have the right to expect that their government wants to alleviate their suffering. So he again has shown his character on issues like this. And his character is, he is telling the American people he doesn't care about you. But I would caution us to understand it's not only about him. At some point, he will be termed out of office. And understand, it's not just about the individual, it's about the apparatus, if you will. I would prefer to just talk about the cronies who are allowing this to happen. Members of Congress, Rev, I'm going to use the F word, who are feckless. It's an appropriate F word. Who don't, and I served, as you mentioned, Rev, in the United States Senate for 4 years. I know a number of these folks. And I know that so many of them know what's wrong with this. I know they know it, but they don't have the courage to stand up. They want to walk around with their flag pin, having their staff run around and chase them like they're royalty. They don't want to give up those jobs. And they know it's wrong. The other thing I've come to, I know we're all spending a lot of time thinking about how could people be this way. I've come to the realization that, some people are purely transactional. By that, I mean they're in it for what they can get out of it, and whoever is harmed in the process, so be it. They're not burdened with doing what is morally right, what is principled, what is value-based. They're in it for what they can get out of it. And the second point I've come to realize, sadly, is that I do think it is part of the frailty of human nature for some, which is the need to just be next to power, no matter what it does. And these are the things that we're seeing come from people who are otherwise powerful and have taken an oath to represent the people in their best interest. So this is what we're seeing happen. I think we need to be, we need to understand it's bigger than him. We have midterms coming up. And anyone who is facilitating this, either by their silence or actively, needs to be held accountable.